Hey guys, what is going on? Today, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about arenas and some tactics you can use to help yourself, even if you're not the strongest, just to try to get the most out of the arenas so you can finish in a position to get some really good rewards, even if you're around some players that they're probably a lot better than you. It comes down to the timing of your attacks, your teams, your defensive lineups, things like that. So let's jump into it. As always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I am in 3v3 this week. It's actually 2 weeks long. So you have 3v3, which is 2 weeks long, and then the Storm Arena, which we're doing right now, is only 1 week long. So it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks. It's kind of nice they did that because Storm Arena, it's fast. You're over in a week, so you have to remember to continue to push every day. 3v3 is a little more forgiving. If you miss a day or two here or there, you can still continue to push all the way up. You have 30 attempts a day. So even if you miss a day or two, you can still use 20, 30 attempts and push all the way up as high as you want. Obviously, the higher you get, the harder your opponents are going to be. And let's go ahead and start there. What you want to do at least every day is use your 5 attacks. So 3v3, if you know, when you click on the rewards, you click on the daily rewards here, you get the honor medals for completing 5 wins. So it's 5 wins. It's not just 5 battles. Storm Arena, if you do 3 attacks, that's all you need to do. This is different. Storm Arena, you need to do 5 attacks, and that's it. It doesn't need to be win. You just need to do 5 attacks, and that's it. These you actually have to win. So every day at a minimum, you should be doing 5 attacks, which should help you continue to hold a position about where you're pushing to. If you need to continue to push up, say you're in a really active 3v3 grouping and everybody's using a lot of attacks every day, you might get knocked down a lot. I've been in those where I push all the way up to top, say top 70, and the next thing I know, I log in, I'm all the way back here at 156 or almost at 200. And that just says that I have to be vigilant with getting my attacks in every day and push higher than maybe I normally would to try to get into a really good spot for those last 2 days. So very important heading into the last week with 3v3 specifically on Saturday, make sure you're in a really good position at the end of Saturday. So when you reset on Sunday and you have your attacks to go, and you can use all 30 to push even higher. You don't have to worry about using 10 to 15 of those attacks just to push up to kind of about where you want to finish. You have enough at the end of the day to fight and kind of hold your position if you need to. I made the mistake a couple weeks ago of forgetting to attack on Saturday. So Sunday I had burned all my attacks. And then of course in the last second, I got knocked out of the top 70. And so I didn't even finish in the top 70 to get one of these cannon skins here or the decoration chest. Even though the decoration chest at my level, not that big of a deal, but they're still good to get either way. And then of course 25 honor medals is a lot better than 20,000. But for me, I like to get this skin here, and what I do is I hold it until about every 2 weeks, and then I'll use it say Friday night. So right at the start of versus the enemy buster event, I'll pop it, get the bonus from this, which is 5% attack for using and 5% when you have it in stock. So it's a nice attack bonus for your team. And so I'll pop it on Friday night, then I'll have it for Saturday, and then Sunday again. If I'm ending 3v3, I also have that additional bonus. So when I'm fighting and I'm getting the most out of my team to finish, to try to get up into the top 70 or maybe even top 50 or top 40 again to get that base skin. And then I just repeat that over and over several times. And I usually wait to save this base skin for things like server duels or in-season fighting when I really want to get the most out of my team and maximize it for multiple days. I don't usually wait until 3v3 ends to use it unless I'm really worried about finishing in the top 70 again. But then at that point, I'm wasting a base skin just to get another base skin. So if I can get to the top 70 and get another one without wasting it, that's what I usually do. But if I'm going to use it, I'm going to use it from Friday through Sunday night to get the most out of it. Let's go back to the fighting now. if you are, say, you're shooting for the top 70, at the end of Saturday, you should really be pushing to try to be somewhere around 70 to 50 if you know that's where you're going to roughly end up. If you're trying to push higher, again, you got to remember that the opponents are going to be harder. And the challenge button, it's fixed. You can't change your opponent, which is really a pain. But this is a key thing to think about. The revenges, these can pile up. So if you push high enough and you continue to be attacked by some of the similar players, they will get into this revenge category for you, and you can stack those up. So at the end, if you get into a couple challenges that you aren't sure about if you can win, you could always use one of your revenges to get an easy win, just to give you a little bit of extra boost there at the end. And as you can see, I'm at 156 right now. I had pushed myself all the way up to around 70th position last night. And this is another key point here. Don't do your fights right at reset. It is best to wait until later in the day, maybe a few hours before reset or right before reset. Make sure you don't forget. But do them towards the end of the day or midday the next day after a lot of other people have done their fights. So that way you can get back into your position and not have to worry about at the end of the day when you reset, you're already back where you started. So that way you can get your fights and continue to stay kind of in the same position, if that makes sense. And I got plenty of attacks here, so if I wanted to get back up to 70th before reset or something like that, I could go ahead and use a bunch of challenges. I'm going to save those revenges. Again, I'm not going to use any revenge attacks until the last day when I'm trying to get favorable matches just to get a few more points to move my ranking up. When you look at my ranking right now, I have 1165 points. The person in front of me is 1166. And that's all the difference it takes sometimes to move up a spot. So even if you do the revenge attack and it's somebody you beat really easily, it's going to give you a few points. And that can bump you up not just one spot, but maybe 2 or 3. Now, let's talk about lineups. And this is a bit of a challenging one because it depends on who you have available, what their gear looks like, what their levels are, what their skills are, what your drone is, what your skill chips are on your drone. If you have several teams that are fully built out, that are ready to go, sometimes it is best just to leave them all together. Sometimes you can split them up, but that gets a little tricky because you don't want to make your strongest team one of your weakest teams just by, for instance, me pulling out my D.Va and throwing her on my missile team to get my missile team a little beefier. Then all of a sudden I have this big void on my aircraft team. I could take her out, put her in for, say, Fiona here if I really wanted to make this missile team really good. But then putting Fiona in D.Va's position really hurts this team. And I can just show you here. So if I go ahead, take D.Va out, go over here, take Fiona out, throw D.Va in. So I jumped up to 39 million here. And I dropped down to 36 million. Let's see. So I'm back up to 42.6. So I gained about 3 million here, lost about 3 million here. Is that worth it? I don't know. It's one of those things where it's trial and error. You can see if it's making a difference for you. You can go through your defensive log and see where your weaknesses are. If you want to just have that one sacrifice team and build up 2 strong teams, say for instance, for me, I have my Gorilla on my tank squad, and then I had nothing on my my aircraft squad. And without the Gorilla, it's still almost 46 million. But of course, then I had this big drop off at the missile. And this is where, a lot of debate comes in. Do you have one weak team that somebody can easily beat and then make 2 teams that are kind of trickier to beat, that need to have a decent amount of power? If somebody has a, say, 40 million air squad, they're probably going to beat this team just because of the type advantage and because of the bonus that my Gorilla is giving me. Because if you look at this team is truly only a 39.5. So if I throw the Gorilla on here, does it help? Yes. Is it going to make that big of a difference if I'm going against an air squad that is about the same level, or sorry, not same level, say about 3 million below? No, I think I'm still going to lose to them. Just because the gorilla gives, I call it fake stats because it really is inflated, almost 4 million power from adding the gorilla. And the gorilla doesn't do a ton of damage. He absorbs damage, but that means you still need to have a ton of damage output. And if I'm going against an air squad, I don't know if I'm going to melt them down before they go through my gorilla and then the rest of my team. And I can't sit here and say everybody should run this certain type or these heroes together or this, this certain hero in this lineup or anything like that. The safest way to go about this is to have air teams together, tank teams together, missile teams together. If you want to maneuver some people around and try to get an advantage, say you want to throw, like I said, D.Va in here in place of Fiona to get a troop type advantage against tank teams, you could try that. I can't guarantee how it's going to look. That's all up to you. Again, at the end of the day, it's your account. You guys are going to play how you want to play. So this is just a kind of a guide to give you some guidance if you haven't had a lot of luck or weren't quite sure what to do with these lineups. I can tell you right now, the worst thing to do would definitely be to throw in a bunch of heroes. Say if I took out Adam and I threw in Murphy there, and then I put Kim in the back, and then I threw D.Va in here. And then all of a sudden I have this mix of teams, and then I don't even get the team buff. So up here I'm not getting the 20% HP attack and defense. That makes a really big difference. Even like say 2%. So if you went 3-2 and you got the 10%, I don't know why I said 2% there. It should be 10% HP attack and defense if you run 3-2. And that's even significantly better than having a mix of teams and not getting that troop type bonus. When you're putting together your 3v3 teams, that is probably one of the biggest things you want to think about. Try to avoid losing out on all those team bonuses, because if you go against somebody, even though it looks like you're maybe stronger, you got some really good teams in there, if you don't get those collective bonuses, it could hurt your team more than it's going to help you. And just for fun, I'm actually going to throw this team in here together and see how this lineup does this weekend over the next 2 days, just to compare. If I don't run a beefy aircraft team, I weaken this a little bit, but it's still kind of in line with the first team. Here's the second team. Technically, my aircraft team is my first team. But then right now, it's going to be my tank team is really strong. My aircraft team is not bad. Fiona really takes this, takes the team down a notch just because of her skill levels are really low and her gear is really low. Now that we've talked some about defense, let's talk about the actual fighting. When you hit the challenge, it's going to be random who you get, but then it's stuck. You can't re-roll this, which is unfortunate. So if you get somebody you can't beat, you just have to take the loss and go ahead and move on. If you have multiple attacks left, you're going to be able to make it up at the end of the day if you can get some more favorable matches after you take the loss. So here, I should be able to win this. I'm just going to rotate aircraft team over. Even though they're a little bit ahead of me, I do have the troop type advantage, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then same thing with my tank and their missile team. So let's go ahead and hit this real quick. And the first team, I'm just going to let that one lose, get that win here, get that win here. So don't stress too much about trying to beat all of these teams. Just take them one at a time, figure out what your best matchups are, and at least get the 2 wins. If you get a third win out of it, great, but don't stress about trying to get 3 wins in a row. If you do, you get the additional bonus now, which they've added in the last couple months, I want to say. So if you get what they call crushing victory, you'll get an additional 5 points. So we're down here, I got an additional 16 when I won this. It's going to give me another 5 on top of that. So I'll end up with an additional 25 points, which maybe it bumped me up to like say 137 instead of 139. So if you're making up ground, you were knocked out of, whatever position you were trying to hold, and you're trying to make up ground, getting crushing victories can make a bit of a difference if you get multiple of those. Say after about 3 of them, that's almost like getting 1 win by itself. All right, so let's go back here. Let's try another one. The challenge button. And what I always look for, 1, what's their best team? And then 2, can I get troop type bonuses against them? So this first team here is mostly aircraft, and he does have a tank on that team. So overall, it is going to be weaker to my aircraft team. That is all aircraft. So I have 5 hero types, 5 of the same hero type. And then on top of that, he has the gorilla in there, which is what I say gives him the fake stat bonus. So his team right there is technically probably only 40 million, and I'm sitting at 46 million. So I'm pretty confident about that team. Not really worried about it. Again, it's Kim versus my tank or my aircraft team. So she's going to be a disadvantage. And then on top of it, the rest of the team's going to be a disadvantage just because they're missing Morrison in there too. Morrison is a really good attacker against air squads. So if you're fighting an air squad, having Morrison in there is going to be beneficial, which is maybe why he put that Morrison in on his tank team to help counter air squads there. So if I wanted to push it, I can swap my tank team over to the right and try to get this crushing victory. And that's going to be, a little bit iffy. I have the gorilla on my tank team, which means my tank team is really only like 39.5 million, I think is what it was. And he's at 48.5. So it's going to be super close. Is the gorilla really going to make up that difference? But I do have 5 of the same hero type. So these are the things you have to think about when you go do these attacks. Do you really have an advantage, or is it kind of like an inflated stat? Or with his Morrison being in there, is his Morrison going to do better in this situation? So let's go ahead and attack and see how this plays out. First team, pretty sure that was going to happen. Yep. Second team, I knew I was going to win that. And then, of course, the third team got the win as well. So let's go ahead and open this one up. So looking at that fight here, I go to the last page. His Stepman did a ton of damage. It looks like his Morrison got absolutely melted. So I'll jump in this fight real quick. Let's take a look. Got the drone attack coming in here. And then all my hero attacks should be going off. And yeah, look at his Morrison just gone. Out of the back row, Kim just absolutely annihilated him. Very short-lived, and that was his advantage. The advantage there was the Morrison, and he was gone before he could even do anything else. And Morrison is better against aircraft. Skylar would be better against tanks. Just one, because she just seems to do better against tanks a lot of times, and she has that stun, which can be very, very helpful if she stuns Stepman and Kim, because then they can't get those big attacks off like you saw, which gives your team time then to melt down the other team. So I don't know if he put Skylar in there, if that would have been a better play for him. But either way, we got the win. All right, so there's the crushing victory. Got our points. Got bumped up there. And that's just a few hits for you guys, just to give you a little bit of flavor. Let's go ahead and take a look at Crazy Deerfly's team, because she is now almost 91 million total March for her first team. Almost 82, and then almost 83 million. So very, very strong now. And then Hulk here, sitting at first place. And just because Hulk's in first doesn't mean that he fought Deer. If he fought Deer, he probably would lose. Well, actually, it may be close. He does have, when you attack, you have the advantage of lining up your teams, get the troop type advantages. But again, he can't control who he matches against. He could have fought somebody that's, say, like 10th overall, and all he had to do was win, and he could have get bumped up. So that's it for 3v3 Arena. Storm Arena, I don't have it open right now. I can certainly go over that in another episode if you guys would like. It's very different in the fact that you can actually select your opponents, and as far as lineups go, it is a lot different too, because you really want to go into that with one really strong team, or try to make an advantage when you're attacking. It's hard to explain without showing it to you guys. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it already, but again, if you want me to break it down in a video, just let me know. Happy to do so. I know this was going to be a little bit of a longer one. I said I was going to take a few minutes. I knew it was going to be really long if I was going to break it down and really show you guys what goes into attacking, defending, and some things to think about. It's always going to be different for everybody, because not everybody's in the same position. You're either a big spender, a free-to-play player, a low-end spender. Your teams are going to be built different. I'm focused on air. You could be missile. You could be tank. So it's all going to be different for everybody. And how you put your teams together is completely up to you. Just have fun with it. The key things to think about when you're doing this is making sure you're attacking every day, getting your attacks in possibly later in the day so you know right at reset where you're going to be at for the next day. And then on the last day, don't use your attacks early in the day. If you can stay on for reset on the last day and get your attacks in on the last, like, say 10, 15 minutes, or even the last 5 minutes, that is the best time to do so, because then you know where you're going to end up. Because there's so many people that attack in those last 5 to 10 minutes that you could be all the way up in 20th position, and you walk away for 5 minutes, come back, and next thing you know, you're in 70th. So the attacks happen really fast in those last 5 minutes, and that's why people that are, say you're in Europe and they're asleep at reset, they are at a big disadvantage, unfortunately. So I'm sorry if that's you guys, or some of you anyways. I know it really sucks how some of this is set up. You can't really defend yourself, and you're just at the mercy of everybody else's attacks at the end of the day. For us, for myself, being able to attack at reset is very beneficial, because say I was sitting at 117th, I could certainly push myself all the way up to 70th position and maybe work myself up. I don't want to be starting the day at 117th. I'll probably want to try to push myself up and get into a better position the day before. But if I had to, at least I have that ability to. And then wherever I am in that last minute, I could be confident I'm going to be somewhere around there right when all the fighting is over. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate you sticking through this one with me. As always, have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.